Okay, so we're trying to find the volume of the pyramid, and what do we remember that we need to do when we're trying to find the volume? The map. We need to have our map. We're looking for treasure, and if we want to find treasure, we need a map. So if we want the volume of a pyramid, what is our map? Almost. 1/3. 1/3, and we want big B, right? We want uppercase V. So we're going to start by writing that. I need my pen. V equals 1/3 big B H. Okay, and now that we have that, do we know the area of our base?
Yeah, it says 36.
It says, so you're right, it is a triangle, so great, this is a triangular pyramid, but it tells me the area of the base. So I just want to show you, we could get more specific. We could get a more specific map. So right now it's like we have a map of Indiana, and we just really want a map of Auburn. So if we wanted a more specific map, we could write V equals 1/3. This is just to remind us what we did yesterday. What is the area of a base of this triangular base? What is the area of a triangle? Who remembers the area of a triangle?
Like the formula?
The formula.
Oh, it is
A equals
BH over 2.
BH over 2. BH over 2. So we would do this formula right here if we needed it. So remember, this will help you on your homework when you're doing your practice. If we needed to get more specific, we would do this. But in this particular case, do we need to get that specific? No, because they actually tell me the area of the base. Great. Do they tell me the height? Yes. This is one of those treasure maps meant for really little kids, right? They tell me everything. This is the treasure that we're going through Candyland, not going through the swamplands. So all we have to do is do 1/3. Big B is 36, and H is 10. And folks, all we have to do, some people are getting really confused. When all one side of an equal sign has numbers, we are just simplifying. We're just doing the math on that. So we need to do 36 times 10 divided by 3. And everybody should have their Desmos calculator up making that calculation. So what do you get when you do that? Give everybody a chance. Miss Speedy calculator over there. Some people don't even have their computers open yet. Maybe we can do it in our head. Were you doing it in your head? I would hope so, because 36 times 10 is 360, and 360 divided by 3 is 120. Or 36 divided by 3 is 12, and 12 times 10 is 120. So this is equal to 120, and we need a label. It's volume, so what's my label?
CM triple.
Actually, tripled would be times 3, not the same thing. So we have centimeters cubed. Okay, how did we do on that problem? So we did a little bit of review here at the beginning, but in actuality, we only needed that third line there because they gave me the base and they gave me the height. So this was a pretty easy treasure hunt. Okay, let's look at the next one. Joel is making a square pyramid out of sand. It has a base of 64 inches. If he uses a volume of 128 cubic inches of sand, how tall can he make the pyramid? So what information do we have here that's telling us what map we need?
It says it's a square pyramid.
We have a square pyramid, so we know what shape we have. So what map do we need for a square pyramid?
V equals 1/3 S squared H.
And why do we need that formula? Why do we need the volume one?
What?
Why do we need the volume formula of a square pyramid? So this is the one that Chris, I almost called you Tyler again. This is the one that Chris said we needed. Volume equals 1/3 side squared H. Why did he say I needed the volume formula to start with, Madison?
Isn't it because like you're filling like the inside?
Yep, I'm filling the inside. I want to know how much sand is going to go. That's inside. But there's another clue.
Because we're trying to find the height.
We're trying to find the height. I could find the height if it was something else as well. There's another really big clue word in here that tells me it's volume.
Square.
Nope.
Pyramid.
Nope.
It says
128.
What? It says volume.
Oh.
It says volume right there. So yes, so there's lots of clues in here that tell me that the map I'm going to use is volume. And because it's a square pyramid, it's the volume of a square that we want. So the big B in this case is side squared. Now, let's also think what information they gave me. What information did they actually give me?
They gave the base, which is 64.
So what is that about the base? Is that the side length of the base?
Yeah, it is.
The area.
It's the area of the base. How do I know that that's actually the area of the base?
Because the bottom, like this length has width and that.
But how do I, that doesn't tell me anything. How do I know that this right here is the area of the base? James?
Because it says 64 square.
Square inches.
Ow.
Remember, area is squared labels, right? So we actually know here that big B is 64. It says inches squared. So that side squared, we could put it here, side squared does happen to be 64. And then what is the, what else do we know, I guess I should say? What else do we know? Yes.
The volume is 128.
Volume is 128. That's the other thing we know. The thing we're trying to find is height. So now, there's my map. These are my clues. Let's fill them in to find out what I don't know. So we're going to fill in. We're used to writing V equals, not this time. So we're going to fill in V. We're going to fill in 128 equals 1/3. And then instead of S squared, we actually know all of S squared. All of X squared is 64. And the height, we don't know. How are we doing? Doing good?
Yeah.
Okay, now we have a little bit of a problem. What is 64 divided by 3? Yeah, it's a repeating decimal, and that's an issue. We cannot have 64 divided by 3. We cannot have a repeating decimal. So what are we going to do with this fraction here? Not over, well, we could. But if we multiplied this across, what do we get?
64 over 3. That's the same thing.
No, that's okay. So what we're going to do here is when we have a repeating decimal here, hey, if it was a terminating decimal, I'd be fine with it. But because it's repeating, I just need to write this as a fraction. So let's do that. I get 128 equals, and you just multiply across. 1 times 64 is 64. 3 times 1 is 3. So it's just 64 over 3h. Now, do you remember yesterday we were trying to solve for h? So do you remember what we used?
Oh, we did the Pythagorean.
We did the Pythagorean theorem. We only use the Pythagorean theorem when we're trying to find the missing side of a right triangle. Are we trying to find the missing side of a right triangle? No. So we don't use the Pythagorean theorem unless we're trying to find the missing side of a right triangle, people. Do we got that? Okay. So because we're not trying to find, I had people using the Pythagorean theorem on those cross sections when they were trying to describe to me a rectangle. No. Okay? So here, I am solving for h. What do I have to do to get rid of the 64 thirds? Who remembers?
Multiply.
By? No. Multiply by
Reciprocal.
the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 64 thirds is 3 over 64. If I multiply one side by 3 over 64, I do it to the other. I keep making marks all over this side of the board. Now, this side gets away. I'm going to put h equals. This side, all I have to do is multiply across and divide by 64. Multiply the 3 times the whole number. 3 times 128. Divide by 64. Everybody do it. Raise your hand when you got it. 3 times 128 divided by 64. How tall does he need, or can he make his pyramid? What's the tallest sandcastle he can get? What you got, Zach? 6. Okay, we need a label for the height of this pyramid. So how tall? What's the label? 6 what? 6 what?
Cubic inches.
And the cube is volume. What?
Square inches.
Square is area.
Inches.
Inches. Remember, height, radius, base length, width, those are all just inches. Feet, centimeters, millimeters, miles, yards. Okay, we can measure them with a ruler. Any questions about any of this? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this lesson.